Good morning, you two friends. It's Dale. How are you all? I decided that I would take you for a little walk. Excuse me, I have a little frog in my throat this morning. So I just finished my little cleaning job at the post office, and I came out the back door, and I was putting my hood up and my mittens on, and I looked at the sky and I thought, oh, I gotta walk that way and take a video for you all, because the morning sunset is beautiful this morning. We've had gorgeous weather here. It's been very warm for Manitoba, Canada. It's been above zero. We have very little snow, although that looks like a lot of snow, but that's just piled from the street. We don't have very much snow at all. And so I've sort of started taking my walks home in the morning, taking an extra long walk, because it's just a beautiful, beautiful weather. It's too nice to not take advantage of this. So I'm going to jiggle the camera a bit and switch hands. Hold on. There we go. Just putting my other mitten on. Not that my hands are cold, but if I drop the mitten, I'll never find it again. There we go. So, yeah. Look at that sunset. Isn't that gorgeous? We'll go out for a walk along the outskirts of town. We have the most beautiful sunsets and sometimes beautiful sunrises. Did I call this a sunset earlier? Oh, maybe I did. So it's about, I would say it's about 8 o'clock, maybe a little bit after 8 in the morning. Our mornings are still quite dark, and I wish it was a little lighter in the morning. When I leave the house about 7:30, it's still dark. And out here, when it's dark, because we don't have a lot of street lights. We don't have, even a street light on every corner. So in the wintertime, it's very dark out here. And walking to work in the morning, I'm usually the only one outside at that time of the morning, walking anyway. So you're walking in pitch black morning and you feel kind of isolated. Oh, that's such a beautiful sight. I guess that means it's going to be a windy day. My mom used to always have a saying, red sky at morning, sailors take warning. And red sky at night, can't remember the rest of that one. Maybe one of you can fill me in on that one. She had a lot of sayings. So did my dad. They grew up in an era where they learned all these little sayings, and a lot of them were passed down through the generations of country folk. They both were farm kids, my parents. And they had all these little jingles for everything. My dad was really good at rhyming something off just the top of his head, and it sounded so brilliant. And then he'd spoil it by saying, oh yeah, I used to say that. Somebody used to say that. Somebody taught me that. Okay, I gotta be careful because I'm crossing a highway here. I want to get rolled over by a truck or a car. Okay, so yeah. Actually, my parents grew up my mom grew up about a half an hour away from here in a tiny little, well, it's not even a town. It's a church, basically, and it was a post office at one time, is why it has a name. But she grew up at Waldersea, Manitoba. And there's nothing there but a church. There was a general store at one time, but that's closed in the 70s, I believe. And my dad grew up a little further south, in a little place called Plumas. But both of them were farm kids who lived on the farm, grew up on the farm. And so I grew up in the city. My parents moved to the city in the 50s, and I came along and lived all my life in the city, pretty much. I married a man from Chicago, and we lived in Chicago for a while. And then we moved back up to Canada, back into the city, and lived most of our married life there. And 5 years ago, I decided that we should move to the country. So we did. We moved out here, and although I'm not where my family originated, I'm pretty close, and I'm very happy about that. So there's my history, sort of, kind of. That moon, little sliver of a moon. Yeah, mornings like this are a nice walk. I was talking to my brother last night, telling him that I took these walks in the morning, and he asked me if I ever ran across or came across a coyote. No, I haven't. I know they're around, but I haven't had the pleasure. We have had the odd bear go through our town, and a couple of years ago we had a cougar in town, and we have foxes, but I've seen coyotes outside of town, but I've never seen one in town. So today the wind is up a little bit. It's not quite as warm as it was yesterday, but it's supposed to still be a beautiful day. So I hope everybody's been keeping well, staying safe. These are trying times for everybody. I haven't felt the effects of COVID, perhaps like some people have. I live in a tiny little town. So far we've had no COVID here in this town. It's been around us, but we don't venture out that much, especially in the winter time. So it's quite a nice, safe place to be. But our family, our son is not here, so we didn't get to spend Christmas with him, although we did FaceTime the whole Christmas day with him, which was actually quite fun. It was just like being there. We even had Christmas dinner with him in a virtual way, and it wasn't bad at all. I can't imagine what people did in the last pandemic. Just think about it. Think of all that we have, and we can't seem to wrap our heads around this pandemic. And then think of the last pandemic and what they had. Ponder on that one a while. Quite frankly, I think we should be ashamed of ourselves. However, we live in a different time as then. People certainly are different people. We seem to be a lot more entitled, and I'm not saying that like it's a good thing, but that's the way it is. Oh, I could just keep walking and walking. If I sound a little out of breath, It's because I'm severely overdressed for a walk. I have several layers on and I'm too warm. And then I huff and I puff. There's my house. The house is getting a major overhaul on the outside this year. We've been here 5 years, and for 5 years I've looked at the outside of it and cringed. But we wanted to replace our windows, which we have done now. We finished them all. And so the next step is to paint and work on the exterior, and that's going to happen this year. It's going to look a lot different this time next year. Oh, look at what the snowplow did here. They plowed the street and they left a big mess in the corner. That's not nice. See how much snow we have? There's bare patches. We don't have that much at all. In fact, I'm quite concerned about a lot of my perennials. I put in a new perennial garden last summer. If you're interested in gardening and that sort of thing, I have a lot of videos from the last couple of years of the changes I've made to this back portion of our property. But I put in a lot of perennials, and with this little bit of snow that we have, I'm kind of afraid that perhaps they haven't had enough time in one short season to develop a good root system to withstand our cold weather if we get it without the snow. So I'll show you. What kind of animal went through here? That's interesting. Maybe it was a coyote. More than likely it was a cat, although I don't think it was a cat. It's pretty big footsteps for a cat. Anyway, this is the area that I developed. This whole area from here all the way around to here, this was all vegetable garden. And I kind of worked it as a vegetable garden for the first couple of years, and then discovered that really we don't need this much for two people. So I cut it in half last year. I cut it right down the middle here. And this part, I put all perennials in the side. There's a wandering path that goes through here and comes out at the other end there. And then this part I used as my vegetable garden. And I did that. That was, last year was the first year that I just gardened in this pot here. And my intention last year was to put up raised beds in here. But then I thought, well, first I'm going to plant a garden in this area and see if that's enough. And it's more than enough. So this spring, we will put raised beds in here. And then there's another patch of garden in behind there, another big patch, which I'll also put some raised beds. I think I might put my strawberries back there because I have a row of fruit bushes along there. So that is on my mind a lot because, once January hits, I'm thinking about seed catalogs and making plans for this year's garden. Because as much as I love to craft, to sew and knit and stitch, this truly is my passion right here. And in the summertime, I do very little handcrafts. I do all my crafting out here with nature and growing plants and nurturing plants, harvesting my crops. I have a lot of herbs that I dry and use throughout the winter. And this is just where I like to be. So stay tuned. There will be changes. I see my little birds are lining up in the hedge. They're all gathering because they know I'm going to feed them. I'll show you what they do here. Every day I fill this little feeder here, and every day they empty it on the ground. They've got a lot here. I should just let them clean this all up. They make a heck of a mess. And then I have a flat surface there that I put things on for the bigger birds. I like nuts and stuff. And then I have a couple of feeders on my arch over there. So this garden is full of birds all winter long, and I love to watch them. And yesterday my conure was really, actually he was quite irritated, and I think he heard all the birds out here and he was quite angry and upset and noisy. I had to kind of put him in a little bit of a lockdown. And I haven't had to do that with him because he's a very calm bird, but I think he's hearing all these birds out here. They're stirring him up. So now I'm going to go in and have my breakfast and get my day started. And that sunset or sunrise is still beautiful and red. And the day's going to be gorgeous. No clouds. So it'll be a warm, beautiful winter day for us. Kind of makes me wonder when winter's really going to hit, because we haven't really had it yet. But like everybody around here says, every day like this means one less day of severe winter. And we're thankful for that. So have a good day, everybody. Wherever you are, take care of yourself, and I'll talk to you really soon. Bye for now.